Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She was at the sink, rinsing a wine glass she hadn't used, scrolling on her phone with the other hand. I put my keys in the bowl and said, "How about Saturday? Dinner at Harper's, just the two of us. I'll book the late table." She didn't look up. Hard pass. Hard pass. That crowd is boring. And I'm out. Out where? Out. Don't start. I'm not starting. I'm making a plan. Her jaw clicked like a door chain. You plan your little routines. I've got mine. That was the tone. Not angry. Not tired. Just cold, like the thermostat got set to January and left there. I didn't argue. I'd done that loop. You make effort, you get a shrug. You ask questions, you get volume. We'd been living like polite roommates who forgot the polite part. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have slept that night. But I didn't. I went to the gym instead and watched couples trade jokes between sets. I'd stopped trying to talk her out of the fog months ago. I wasn't going to beg. I decided I would treat reality like it was telling the truth. I called my friend Nate on the drive home. He's a paramedic, calm until he's not. "She's out every night," he said. "Most. With the girls until 2, 3. No details. No answers. And you keep footing the bills." I did. Past tense. He whistled. "You sure you want my take?" I didn't call for recipes. "Okay. Hire someone. Quiet. Confirm what you already know. And when you move, move clean." He wasn't telling me anything I hadn't considered on long drives. Hearing it from a man who cuts cars open to pull strangers out, it organizes your spine. I told him I'd think about it. He snorted. "Don't think. Do. Stop letting the fog drive your calendar." I hung up and sent 2 texts. One to Mark, an attorney I've known since we were both paying rent with quarters, asking him for a meeting soonest. The second to a number Nate gave me, Lee, a private investigator with the social skills of a toolbox and a reputation for accuracy. I wrote, "I need discreet. My wife is out late. I want certainty, not drama." Lee called within 5 minutes. "Are you free tomorrow morning?" "Yes." "Bring a photo. Bring her schedule if you have it. I'll handle the rest." That night she came home at 1:30, dropped her heels on the mat like she was throwing darts, and rattled around for a snack. I sat at the table with a glass of water and my work iPad open. "You're up?" she said, surprised I existed. "Yep." "For what?" "For me." She smirked, grabbed a yogurt, and disappeared. That was our marriage. 2 doors closing, no echo. The next morning, Lee took notes with a pen that looked older than both of us. "Any names she's mentioned?" "Emily. Jenna. A rotating cast of the girls." He nodded. "You'll hear from me when there's news." I walked out of his office lighter than I'd felt in months. Funny what a decision does. You stop caring about the fog. You start charting land. That afternoon, I met Nate and our friend Jorge at a garage behind Jorge's bar. Jorge was under a lifted Jeep, swearing softly at a bolt that didn't know him anything. He slid out when he heard us. "You got the face," he said. "What face?" "The one guys get right before they stop being polite." Nate leaned on the toolbox. He called the guy. Jorge wiped his hands. "Good. What's the play until then?" "I'm not sitting home with the TV." "Then don't," Jorge said. "We watch the game tonight. Wings, garbage jokes, and you turn your phone upside down. Practice." "Practice what?" "Living like your time matters again." I laughed. "I like that plan." By 6, my phone had 4 texts from her. "Out with the girls. Don't wait up. Doors sticky." And an emoji I couldn't be paid to interpret. I typed okay. Then I put the phone face down. We watched the second half, told stories about stupid things we did in our 20s, and stayed off the subject of my house. Jorge's bar manager, a kid with a mustache that needed permission, handed us wings and said nothing else. That mattered. You don't realize how loud silence is until you don't have to fill it. Halfway through the 4th quarter, Jorge looked at me. "You're not asking her anything anymore, right?" "Nope." "Good. Stop feeding a slot machine that never paid you." The next morning, Lee texted at 7:13 a.m., "Working. We'll update." No flair. Just gears turning. I went home and found her at the stove, humming, flipping pancakes. We didn't own a griddle the day before. Suddenly we did. She turned and smiled like an ad. "I made your favorite." "Pancakes. With blueberries." "Since when?" She poured syrup like it meant something. "Don't be weird." You've been tense. I thought I'd be nice. I'm not tense. I'm decisive. She blinked. About. Work. Life. Coffee in 10 minutes. She placed a plate in front of me and touched my shoulder. Very gentle. Long enough to read as a signal. The fog had learned to bake. I ate 2 bites because I can tell effort when I see it, even if the timing is suspicious. She floated around, tidying, making small talk about weather, grocery lists, the kind of soft filler that used to mean everyday life and now sounded like stage direction. After we ate, she tapped her mug. There's something. Tomorrow the girls want to do a weekend trip. 2 nights. Back Sunday. You okay with that? There it was, wrapped in syrup. I met her eyes. You don't need my permission to be with your friends. So you're fine? I'm not your hall pass. I'm your husband, technically. I put my mug down. Do what you were going to do. She frowned at the technically, then recovered and hugged me from behind, cheek against my shoulder. You know I've been stressed. Thank you for not making it a thing. I patted her arm and stepped away to grab my keys. As I left, she called after me, upbeat. I'll text you the details. In the truck, I texted Lee, heads up. Weekend trip with the girls. Leaves early tomorrow. You tell me if I'm wrong. His reply came fast, like he'd been waiting. She's not going there with a girlfriend. She has a man. I was just finishing the report. You'll have it in an hour. It's a funny word, shock. People attach it to big gestures and movie endings. The real version is quieter. The cabin of my truck felt bigger. The road noise got clean. I sat with it and realized I was almost relieved. When reality finally stops hiding, you stop chasing shadows. An hour later, my email pinged. Lee's report was clinical. Dates, times, locations, photos. My wife in a booth across from a man I recognized but hadn't met in years. My wife stepping into a small roadside motel, head down, ball cap low. My wife leaving a house I didn't know, smiling like she was 16. The man was Mike, her ex. The name I'd heard twice in our first year and never again. For 10 full seconds, I stared at his face and did math. She used to live near him when she was 20. He'd moved back to town last year. She started staying out late in March. She gradually shut down every normal channel between us by June. I called Mark. I need to come now. Come, he said. His office smells like old wood and new coffee. He scanned Lee's report like he was grading a midterm. This is clean, he said. You brought me work product, not stories. If you want out, we can do out. We'll move first. She'll be stuck reacting. What about the house? The accounts. You separate access today. Move half the joint cash to a safe account in your name. That's not hiding, that's protecting. Cancel any cards you've given her. You pack her things with care and deliver them to her parents. Quietly. You keep a chain of custody on the report. No public fireworks. When she walks in Monday, you present the facts and your decision. Then you take no more bait. What if she spreads noise? Then we wait until we're done, and if needed, we set the record straight once and thoroughly. But not mid-process. No messy public sparring. Keep your hands clean. You printed a list and handed it to me. You're going to feel like you're taking a wrecking ball to your own life. You're not. You're turning off a faucet that's flooding your house. I nodded. Draft whatever needs drafting. Can you have it by Monday morning? I'll have it by Monday 8 a.m. Be here. I'll give you the folder. You walk home and do what you need to do. I shook his hand. It felt like a door closing the right way. That evening, she was butter smooth. I picked up your dry cleaning, she said, dropping a bundle on the couch. I didn't ask you to. I know. I wanted to do something nice. Then she stepped close and rested her forehead against mine. We're okay, right? We're functioning, I said. She laughed light. You're such a robot sometimes. Better than a ghost. She flinched almost invisibly and changed the subject. She ordered sushi, put on a show we used to like, and took my hand during the opening credits like we were rehearsing normal. If you want to know whether a person is negotiating or connecting, look at the timing. Her sweetness showed up right after I stopped chasing. I filed that away. Saturday, she left before I was up. A handwritten note on the counter. Don't miss me too much, with a smiley face. The smiley landed like gravel. My phone buzzed 30 minutes later. Hey, the card isn't going through for gas. Can you check? I replied, banks are closed weekends. I'll go Monday. Nothing back. I lifted boxes from the garage, laid out her clothes on the bed, folded them like I was packing someone else's life for a move, because I was. I labeled 3 bins: clothes, personal, bathroom. I left gifts from me in their own small box. You don't throw your own history in the trash, even if someone else did. Then I loaded everything and drove to her parents' place. Her dad answered the door with Sunday paper eyebrows. "What's all this?" "Her things," I said. "Take care of them. Please don't throw them away." He stared at the bins, then at me. "You want to talk?" "Not today." He stepped aside and let me carry the boxes in. He didn't press. He'd always been courteous with me. I left before he could choose a side. This wasn't a jury. It was a delivery. Back home, I took her key off my ring and left it on the counter with a note. "Your things are safe. Ask your parents." I opened the banking app, moved cash to a new account Mark had set up, canceled 2 cards I'd given her access to when we thought ours was still a word. I forwarded Lee's report to a secure folder Mark controlled. Then I called my boss, Dan, a man who runs a construction company like a math problem. "Got a storm at home," I told him. "I'm not missing work. But if any noise shows up, it's lies. I'll handle it." Dan grunted. "You need a day? Take a day. As for noise, our HR's boring. That's their job." "Thanks." That night, I didn't rot on the couch. Nate picked me up. Jorge texted 3 words. "Wings." 8. Laugh. I went. We watched a fight, jeered a bad ref, and let the sound of people who like each other disinfect the corners. Midway through, a brunette at the end of the bar waved her beer at me. I raised mine back. Polite, not hunting. I'm not 17. You don't fix a cracked foundation by hanging a new picture. Still, talking to someone who asked me a question and waited for the answer felt like oxygen. "Name?" she asked. "Sam." "I'm Brooke." We talked about nothing heavy: dogs, traffic, how the city can spend $1 million on a park bench and forget to add shade. When Jorge swung by, Brooke said, "Your friend's a nice guy." Jorge winked at me like a 12-year-old. I shook my head at him and laughed. Sunday, I kept moving. Laundry, garage, truck wash. I didn't stare at doorways waiting for footsteps. If you've ever done that, you know it's a full-time job with bad pay. Monday at 8 a.m., I was in Mark's office. He handed me a folder with 3 tabs and a calm face. "You ready?" "I'm done being not ready. Take this. Walk home. When she arrives, be clear, be brief, be finished." At 11:30, I parked in our driveway, placed the folder on the kitchen island, and waited. I didn't pace. I checked a procurement schedule for a job site and made notes. At 12:40, the door opened. She stepped in with oversized sunglasses and a voice that was already on offense. "I can't believe the gas station drama. Do you know how embarrassing that is?" I picked up the folder and handed it to her. "What's this?" "Everything you've been doing with your time." She pulled a sheet, frowned at the first photo, flipped to the second, and froze. Silence poured into the room like wet concrete. "Well," she said finally, "we're friends." I slid out the page where she and Mike were outside a door with a vacancy sign. "And here." She stared at the photo, then at me, calculating exits. "You are paranoid. Who were you with this weekend?" "Emily," she said instantly, too fast. "Want me to call her?" She looked at my phone in my pocket like it was a trap door. Her eyes went bright. "Fine. I was with Mike." "Of course." She lifted her chin. "This is over nothing." "No. This is over everything." I stepped aside and pointed at the counter. "Your key's there. Your things are at your parents'. We're done. Paperwork is in the folder. I've signed where I need to. You'll get the rest through Mark. That door behind you, use it." Her mouth opened, disbelief turning into heat. "Over a weekend with an old friend you're going to end a marriage?" "Over a pattern," I said. "Over disrespect. Over months of you being gone from a house you still wanted me to fund. Over the fact that you replaced me and kept my wallet." She tried a different angle. "You didn't even fight for this." "I don't fight for someone who left 6 months ago. You're unbelievable." "I finally agree with you." She paced, hands moving in short, sharp gestures. "You'll regret this." "I don't do regret. I do outcomes." She stood there for a beat, like she might launch a fresh script, then grabbed her bag, swept the folder off the island, and slammed the door hard enough to wobble a picture on the wall. I steadied the frame and exhaled. It wasn't a movie ending. It was a clean cut. That should have been it. But people who play fog games rarely accept a clean cut. Within 48 hours, noise started. An anonymous email to our company HR. Be aware that your manager has been unfaithful and brings women to job sites. Juvenile tone. Zero specifics. HR called me in. The woman in charge, Sarah, could make a volcano feel self-conscious. We received a message, she said. Of course you did. We're obligated to document. Document this, I said, placing Mark's summary on the table, minus photos. There's a personal separation. Someone is upset. Here are facts that I'm comfortable sharing. In short, I acted within the law and our policies. If further messages come, I'll forward them to counsel. I won't be engaging. Sarah read efficiently, then put the paper down. We appreciate the heads up. We're done here unless more arrives. Thanks, I said, standing. At lunch, I told Dan. He shrugged. Anybody who's worked more than a month has a story. Do your job. We'll keep HR bored. I texted Mark. Noise started. HR handled. Expect escalations. He replied, expect attempts. Keep your documentation tight. Don't react. That afternoon, 3 mutual friends texted me versions of, she says you were stepping out. I answered each the same way. I'm not having a public argument. In time, facts will land. I didn't lobby. I didn't sell. You don't argue with fog. You let the sun work. By Thursday, Mark forwarded me a letter from a lawyer representing her. It was all posture, amicable division, and avoid public unpleasantness, and the phrase equitable allocation, which always means we want half. Mark called me. Breathe, he said. They're trying to get you to blink. You won't. We're not on a battlefield. We're on a chessboard. We already occupy the center. What happens if they keep spinning? We keep not caring. When it's over, if you'd like, we'll issue one clean statement with documentation to people who matter in your life. That's it. Copy. That night, I dropped by Jorge's bar. He wiped a glass and looked up. How's the hurricane? Off the coast, yelling. Good. Let it yell. We sat at the far end, away from the noise, and he told me about a couple who argued about the placement of a trash can for an hour. You learn a lot watching people handle small things, he said. Brooke showed up around 9. Still breathing? She asked. Hard to stop. She grinned. You look lighter. I turned some faucets off. To dry the house? To stop pretending it was raining. She laughed, short and real. You're okay. I will be, I said, and meant it. Friday morning, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. Voicemail. I let it drop. The transcript popped up. Another anonymous claim, this time about spending company funds on personal trips. Cute. I sent it to Sarah. She responded with one sentence. Logged and closed. HR boredom, achieved. I worked a full day and went home to a quiet house that felt like my space for the first time in a long time. I cooked a steak, ate standing up with salt and pepper and no ceremony, and watched a game with my feet up on my own table. Peace is not a grand thing. It's the absence of 1,000 tiny alarms. The paperwork moved the way paperwork moves, slower than anger, faster than nostalgia. The weekend came with more text from her number, a classic sandwich. We can fix this, followed by you're cruel, followed by I need access to the card. The rental car company is being unreasonable. I sent one reply. Any financial access ended. Please go through counsel. She fired back, so that's it. I didn't answer. If you're brave enough to open a door, be brave enough to close it. When the day came to sign, we did it separately. Mark sent me a photo of the filed documents and a thumbs up. You're clear, he said. You owe no division beyond what we've already handled. There will be noise. There will not be money. Thank you, I said. Wait till Monday, he added. Then, if you want, you can issue a single post setting the record straight. I'll vet it. Monday arrived. I sat in my truck before work and wrote the post. Simple. No adjectives. No shots. There's been speculation about my personal life. I'm not engaging in back and forth. Here are the facts. I ended my marriage after a series of choices I won't detail. I have documentation. I won't share it beyond what is necessary to correct false claims. I wish everyone peace. Mark trimmed it to remove even the tiny heat I'd left in. Less is more, he texted. Attach 3 images and be done. Timestamps, locations, faces blurred where appropriate. I did. The effect was immediate. People who'd been neutral sent me private messages. Got it. Two of her loudest defenders went quiet. Mutual acquaintances stopped forwarding me her claims. Her parents, to their credit, texted me first. "We're sorry for her behavior. You didn't deserve it." I replied, "Thank you. I hope she finds her footing." A week later, she messaged from a new number. Long, apologetic paragraphs. "I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was doing. You're my person. We can go to counseling. Please meet me. One coffee." I stared at the screen and felt exactly nothing beyond a professional curiosity at how tactics cluster. Minimize, reframe, offer a tiny concession, ask for access. I blocked the number and went to work. 3 days after that, she waited outside my job site by the chain link fence, sunglasses, hair pulled back, voice soft. "Sam, please. 2 minutes." I stepped out of the truck and stood far enough away to make the boundary clear. She took hers off. There were tears and a lot of words. "I'm humiliated. I was stupid. You moved too fast. We could fix it. I thought the grass was," she caught herself. "I thought I needed something else. I didn't. I see it now." I waited until she ran out of sentences. Then I nodded, once. "That it?" she asked. "That's everything?" "That's everything," I said. "Do you have anything to say?" "I do." I kept my voice even. "I don't cut people loose to punish them. I cut them loose because I respect myself. You made your choices. I made mine. The next time you want to say I didn't fight, remember I won't fight someone who's swinging at the wrong target." I glanced at the fence. "Doors that way." She reached for my arm like old habit. I took a half step back, not dramatic, just enough. She broke then. No script left, no audience to clap. She walked away fast and didn't look back. That was our final scene. No crescendo, no credits. Just an exit. Time didn't heal anything. Time just gives you space to heal yourself if you're so inclined. I used the space. I put the house on the market and bought a smaller place that fits me. A 2-bedroom with a decent garage and a patch of grass I've already lost 3 battles with. I traded the truck I'd been nursing for a clean used one with fewer miles and more honesty. I stopped stocking a fridge for 2. I kept my friends close. Nate still checks on me with his paramedic calm. Jorge still talks trash about anyone who puts ketchup on wings. Brooke and I went for coffee one Saturday. No agenda, no hurry. We didn't start anything serious right away. I wasn't a project and she isn't a nurse. We just laughed, and my phone stayed in my pocket the whole time because I wanted it there, not because someone would accuse me if it wasn't. Work settled. Dan promoted me to run 2 crews. I took the longer drives and the tougher bids because I had bandwidth again. HR hasn't called me in months. Sarah is back to making other people nervous. As for her, I don't follow. I heard from a mutual that she moved to another state to restart. I hope she does. It's not my job to track whether she learned. My job is to maintain the rules that pulled me out of the fog. People ask, sometimes, what was the breaking point? They want a headline. I give them the same answer every time. There wasn't one. There was proof stacked on proof until it weighed more than my patience. Then I set it down and walked away. They nod like they get it, and some do. Some want a movie. I don't have a movie. I have a decision. I made it in a quiet office with printed pages and a man who knows how to file forms. I made it at my kitchen island with a folder and a sentence. We're done. I made it outside a chain link fence when I let silence do more than any speech. That's not drama. That's a man who doesn't negotiate his self-respect. If you're waiting for the last line, here it is. When she finally played her hand, I folded, not because I was weak, but because I don't gamble with people who rig the deck. And when I stood up, I took my chips, my time, and my peace with me. Door behind me, closed. That's how you win without shouting. That's how you don't come back. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.